everyone, my name's Larry, aka Simudad. Welcome back to the channel and welcome, surprisingly, back to Farming Simulator 2022. Welcome back to the channel, welcome back to everything. I hope you're all well, I hope you've had a great week so far. Whatever you've been up to, welcome to this new series. This is a Terralife Plus series on the Somewhere in Thuringia map. We've got a lot to cover off really quickly and then we'll get into it. So, a couple of things. Let's get it out of the gate early. Farming Simulator 22 is back. I know I said a good fair few months back that there was no plans to bring the FS22 back to the channel. The reason it's back is it's nostalgia more than anything. So I spent probably 2,000 to 2,500 hours playing FS19. I spent probably 1,500 to 1,800 hours playing FS22 through private saves, multiplayer series, live streams and stuff like that. And I always said that I wished FS22 got another year out of the life cycle before they brought FS25. So just recently, the last few weeks, sort of been feeling like, oh, I want to pick it up. Hadn't played it for close to eight full months. The beginning of December was the last time that I'd played it. This is the middle of July when I'm recording this. So it was nearly 8 full months when since I last actually even loaded the game. And then there was a couple of months before that where my playtime got less and less and less. I know I've been quite vocal about Giants as a games company and about FS25. Now, that is still my view. That's why we're not bringing FS25, is because I think on that, I was so annoyed by the launch of FS25. It was such a steaming hot pile of insert expletive here when it launched, and I just, to me, my personal opinion, and it's my opinion only, is that I think that it was a bit of a cash grab by Giants. You know, I don't know whether they were struggling. They're a private company, so they don't have to publish their accounts. I've got a degree in business management, so if they did, I could gauge a fairly decent picture. But they, it just felt like a big old cash grab. The game was absolutely trash on release. I didn't play it. I didn't even buy it. But the videos I saw of people playing it, some bigger, some smaller YouTubers, and it was just a steaming hot pile of garbage. And I just think as consumers, as gamers, as fans of the franchise, we all deserve better than what they released to us. And unfortunately, people just took it and run with it. There was a lot of content creators pushing out stuff, professing it was the best game ever. And I'll be honest with you, I will say there are some nice features, or the potential to be nice features included in FS25. But I just took a stand against it because it really annoys me that we're in this culture. You know, I started gaming in the late 90s, well, mostly in the 90s and early 2000s, and that was before the time of the internet, really, and it was kind of like, well, the game had to be polished on release, so it was, because there was no way of really updating the game. So I'm of that era where games would come out and you'd just be able to play them straight away, and there wasn't really any major bugs or glitches because games companies actually took the time and effort to test them properly and thoroughly before they launched them out to the public. Now, like I said, we're now in this time where us as gamers, consumers, we're repeatedly, by multiple game houses, fed and released games that are subpar on release, and essentially they're like a glorified beta test, because they release it as a launch game and then it's absolutely rubbish. There's loads of glitches, bugs and everything like that. So that happened with FS. It happened with a lot of notable games, and it does happen all the time. I appreciate that. I know Giants aren't in their own club when it comes to that. They're not on their own. But yeah, I just decided to take a stand against it because I think at the end of the day, I'm just one person, but I voted with my money. I thought, well, I'm not going to drop 50, 60 quid on a game that to me looks like it's absolute trash, and that's where I'm at. I can't say that I'll never play FS25, but I at this point in my time, there's no inclination in me whatsoever to load up FS or buy and load up FS25. I did see the other day Mr. Farquhar shared it around in his Discord and on his socials that Giants are bringing FS25 to Game Pass. I do have Game Pass, but still not even going to get it on there because I'm so mad about the whole thing. It's left a really sour taste in my mouth about FS25. I've not really any desire to play it, and we'll see what the next iteration of Farm Sim looks like before we decide whether we carry on an FS22. So I just wanted to get that out of the gate because I want this series to be positive, but I don't want it to seem like I'm going back on anything that I've said in the past. You know, I've always said that I liked FS22. It did launch with bugs, but they were sorted. And like I said, I did want it. At the time that they announced FS25, I felt like that's when FS22 was really coming into the best. It was coming into the best with some of the maps and stuff that were coming out. Namely, Terralife Plus just came out and everything. So, yeah, it was a bit, to me, it was a bit disappointing, but that's the by the by. I wanted to get that out of the way because I want the series to be positive. I don't want it to be me just slandering Giants, or slagging Giants off the whole time. And that's where we are. So like I said, I had a lot of good times on FS22. Got a real nostalgia kick the last few weeks, wanted to play it again. Terralife Plus came out quite late in the life cycle, so I didn't really get much chance to play it. And Summer in Thuringia III was a stream series that we had, and luckily they bought that map to Terralife Plus. That was one of the maps because Terralife Plus launched with 4 maps, and this one was one of them. And we never really got a chance to sort of see out Summer in Thuringia. We ended the stream series before we got really done with the map. To be honest, before we'd even got very far at all, to be fair. So that's why we're back on this. I will say out of the gate, this is going to be a very heavily bumbling through first year playing this. Terralife Plus is phenomenal. The features and additions and the simulation aspect of farming that it brings is absolutely spectacular. I can't understate that enough. And it's a load of head work to get your head around. It brings a whole new bunch of crop types, it breaks the calendar down into weeks rather than months. So a year now is, if you just run it on 1 day weeks, it's now 48 days, 48 game days to a year rather than 12. That is what we're running at the moment, is 1 day weeks. It adds a whole new crop type, whole new feed type, whole new cattle types, or animal types, and just loads of elements. And this is a slim, the farming agency guys will tell you this themselves. This was sort of the release of Terralife Plus on Farming Simulator 22 was a slimmed down version of what they actually want to achieve, because FS25 has been their goal. At present, I don't think it's out on FS25 yet. I haven't seen anything about where they're up to with developing it and stuff. So yeah, this is going to be we're going to bumble through a little bit to try and get our head around everything that Terralife Plus brings. Hopefully by the end of the first year we'll have half a clue about what we're doing, but we'll just see how it goes. So that's enough rambling from me. Like I said, we're running 1 day weeks at the moment. If we're struggling, we might put that up and do 2 day weeks. We'll see how it goes. Time episode length wise, I'm going to shoot for episodes of about 40 to 60 minutes, give or take. I think that's a reasonable time scale. We're going to run the time at 10 speed to begin with, and we'll see how that goes. If I'm finding we're running out of time to do things, then we might drop it down to 6 or 5 speed. But I worked it out. A 10 speed game speed gives us about an hour and 10 of raw recording per game day, which I then clip that down to about between 40 and 60 minutes. So it helps me out because the files aren't massive. It also helps me out in editing because it's only like an hour and 10 of raw footage to go through, rather than like 3 or 4 hours where I used to play it on like 2 or 3 speed. So that's that. Economy, I've put it as normal because we are running, we're gonna have to make money some way. So I did contemplate hard economy. There's no additional challenges. If you've been around my channel for a while and farming, you'll know that I quite often will put my own little challenge stipulations in, like no debt, no, self-sufficiency, all that kind of stuff. It's going to be elements of self-sufficiency here because we're going to try and grow everything we need to feed cows and stuff. But if we need, if we run short, we need to buy some in. I'll buy some in. It's how it's going to run. The challenge in itself is learning Terralife Plus. There isn't going to be there's no specific end goal on the series. Again, if you've been around for a while, you'll know that I sort of like to put a little end goal on the series so that we kind of got like a definitive end date. At present, there's no real definitive end goal. I'll just keep going until I feel like either the series has run its course or there's not really anything more to add. Absolutely encourage feedback, good or bad. I always say that, I welcome the feedback, positive or negative. The only thing I just ask is if you are going to leave bad feedback on the content, just make it constructive. So if you find it's rubbish, that's fine, but give me some tips on what you thought was rubbish and what can I improve, because that helps me out make better content in the future. And it's all good. We are pushing to 500 subs as well. I know it's early in the episode to push for a sub, but if you do enjoy the episode and you think you want to stick around, do consider subscribing. We're trying to get to 500 subs by the end of the year. I think we're hovering around the 464, so 465 mark, so it'd be really good to nail off those last 35 subscribers before the end of the year. And you'd be doing me a huge, it'd mean a great deal to me personally. But yeah, that's where we're up to. So in terms of what we're starting with, so we're starting with 1.272 million euros, and that might seem like an odd amount to you, but we started it with, like I said, we're not running a challenge series, so I gave us a healthy cash boost to begin with. Started us with £2.5 million. We've got no loans currently. I'm running the enhanced loan system, so if we need to take a loan down the line, we have got that option. I bought some land to begin with. So what I've bought us is this. Here is the main farmyard. It's the one you start with and start from scratch. Not start from scratch, sorry. New farmer mode. It's the contractor's yard in the middle. When we played it before, we had this farm up here. It's a big cattle farm up here, so we had that one before. But we're not having that one this time. So we've got the contractor's yard in the middle. That's got a load of buildings, a cattle barn, and some other bits and pieces around. We've started with the field immediately next to it and that one as well. And then this one and this one. The reasons for those is because we're running precision farming because it's a required mod for Terralife Plus. And these sort of represented the best. Unfortunately, as it is, where the contractor's yard is, a lot of these fields are below 100% yield potential. So these 4 fields that we're starting with, they kind of represent the best available that is relatively close to the farm. Because what I didn't want to do, I didn't want to be taking some of these which are better, but they're, it's a long way off. So I thought, well, we'll just get these ones. They're not that spread out. We may well buy some of these in the future, but they're all like sort of, some of them are as low as in the 80% yield potential range, which is less than ideal. So what have we got in here in terms of crops? So we've got some field 83 has got spelt in it. Field 82 has got winter wheat in there. Field 87 has got fodder carrots in it, which you need to do some digging about the fodder carrots. And then field 59 is currently empty. Now, what I want to do is I want to split field 59 in half and have 2 different types of grass growing in there. Because when you... Excuse me. We'll head over to the store and we'll buy a feed mixer so we can look at the recipes. So we're going to buy some equipment now real quick. This first episode, by the way, there's probably not really going to be much farming going on. It's probably going to be more of a setting up episode, if you like. Whilst we just look through the used section of the store, there's not a whole lot. What's this one? That's a weeder. Don't want anything that big. We will pick this up because we do need a plow. One of the fields needs plowing after the croppers thing, so we'll get that while it's cheap. What else do we need? Anything in here? It's a tedder. Don't need that at the moment. We've got that one. It's an additional tank. I'm probably going to buy this Kubota trail behind sprayer. We want it with the widest width, so stick that on there. Narrow tires, new decals, capacity, XL, so that'll take 15,000 liters. Now the reason I'm buying that, it is 63,000, and I do generally prefer a rear mounted sprayer, and that is what we're going to do. We're going to buy another tractor, which I'm quite excited to use. This purely is going to be, there's a product that's been added in the Terralife Plus called Carbolime, which is a pH improver for the soil. Now, it's quite cheap. It's like €7 for 1,000 liters, but it goes through quite quickly, and that's a sprayed liquid. So I do want to sort of keep that or use that rather. So I want to. That's why I'm getting this, because it's got a 15,000 liter capacity, so we can really fill it up, as it were, and then we're all good then. I'm not going to bother with license plates. I'm going to buy that as well. That's in the use section. One thing, because I've been watching a lot of Disturb Simulation, and he said that you need to ideally get like a little sort of quad or ATV or something like similar to that. It's ideal for just going around checking on your fields, because there's 27 growth states now. Cool. So I don't think there's really anything else we want to get in there for now. So we do want to get a tractor. One that I sort of quite like using is this Ford Series 70. We want to get that on a standard 400 horsepower. We don't want twins. We do want wide. Don't want the communals. Just stick with the Michelins. Brand Ford, leave it at that. We do want the front loader 3-point. Not the front loader, just the 3-point. We do want GPS as well. And then we do want to leave it as that. Rim color, we probably want black rims, no plates. So that's going to be 92,000. So that's going to be our first tractor in the bag. The one that I mentioned about, I'm going to buy straight out the gate as well. This is going to be for herbicide and fertilization duties. Is this where is it? It's the Fendt Xylon 524 or 524. We're going to get that with Michelin's and narrow tires, GPS. I'm going to get that in orange. Rim color is going to stay as red. That'll be absolutely fine. So we're going to get that. It's a bit of a weird tractor, but the reason we're going to get that is because we can get the we can buy this. There's a little tank that goes on the front, and we can buy this, which is a boom arm that goes on the back for spraying duties. So we get those. We won't worry about a front loader at the moment. So that gives us our first two tractors. We do also want to get ourselves a seeder. Now, the seeder that we want to get is the Novag. Now, the Novag is added in, officially licensed through Terralife Plus. They've gone through and got all the licensing agreed so that they can bring Novag officially to the game. Which you could tell because it's released through the mod hub, and Giants wouldn't let it get released with official branding if there wasn't what's the word? If there wasn't an official licensing agreement in place. So take the license plate off that. Now that is a hefty purchase. That's 200,000. But we do, like I say, we do need that. I'm tempted to lease it, but we're still riding high on cash, so I'm just going to buy it. So we don't need that sort of expense going forward. So let's have a quick look. So we've got a small tractor for spraying duties. We've got a medium tractor, which has got enough horsepower to pull the Novag. We've got a plough because it was on a deal. We've got a seeder. We've got sprayers. That is all that we need sort of immediately. Now, there's one thing that we need to do is, I don't think I'm going to be able to do it, but like I was saying, I want to split this field up. Let's do it like this, actually, because then we'll know we're exactly in the right place. Is it this? So this is our big field over here. I'll just come out of here out of the way. So I've got a mod running that basically allows you to run a perfectly straight line. Because I do want these fields to be split up because we're going to grow two types of... I think if we went like that... Yeah, we're not going to be able to do it with that. So what we'll have to do is we'll have to bring our... I think we'll have to bring our plough up here. Which, it needs ploughing anyway, actually, which I didn't realise. So this wasn't the field that I thought would need ploughing, so it's lucky that we did bring that plough. Buy that plough, rather. So what I want to do is... I want to kind of set where I want the plough to go. I'm going to plough a line straight as I possibly can down the bottom there. And then we'll use that as our guide point to put down a bit of decorative grass. Oh, actually, one more thing which I forgot to... that I said I was going to buy is we're going to buy a feed mixer, won't we? Feed mixer. Animals. We'll get the... haven't got any decent mod ones. I mean, that one is, but it's well cheated because it's got 100,000 litre capacity. That goes on the back of a truck. So I think we'll just stick with the... We'll go Silo King. And we get no plates on there. And we'll buy that 45,000. That needs 100 horsepower. So let me just have a quick check, see if there's any cheap tractors in here. I've got the power requirements. Pretty low actually on used tractors, but that's all right. Let's have a look what we're gonna get. Just one, like I said, just a small one. It's literally just gonna be for that. I quite like that class Aries mod. I do really like these actually as well. The Mercedes Benz MB tractors. That's 95, so that's not gonna do us. How much is that going to be? So 75, we need to chunk that up to at least 100. That's not. Put up to 85 or 125 rather. That's going to be fine. Get it with the wides. Get it with a 3-point on the front as well. Additional lights, yes. That's another 200. Attacher type standard. If you want to get that 60,000, yeah, I think we probably will get that on. That will be on. Yeah, so let's buy that. So 60,200, and that will be for where are we? Where are we? Where are we? So if we get this hooked up, I just want to show you this really quick. Hopefully that's going to be fine. So at the moment, we're on current recipe standard. Now the recipe that we want is mixed ration dairy calves from 4 months. No, dairy cattle from 10 months. Dairy cattle from 18 months is what we want. And we basically want, this is what we're going to need at least. So in order to make it, we need a minimum of 10% of coarse feed energy, 10% of coarse feed protein, coarse feed base 10%, moisture feed 11%, and mineral feed 2%. So we're going to want to put down some maize silage or whole crop silage. We then want some clover silage or clover grass silage or alfalfa silage. And then we want some meadow silage, pasture grass silage, herb grass silage, or field grass silage. So I'm going to take a picture of these on my phone because I've got an absolutely terrible memory. And basically, I will forget by the time I'm looking in the store for seeds. And then we'll need carrot pulp or potato pulp, brewer's grain or silage, carrot pulp silage, apple pulp, BG silage, beet pulp silage, beet pulp, potato pulp silage. And we'll also need some mineral feed or Duca mineral feed. So we'll buy the mineral feed in because we can do that. There are other things here. Like you see, there are, you can add in cereal protein, molasses, water, roughage, fodder straw, cereal energy, supplemental feed, and root crops. Like we can just put our fodder carrots straight in there, but they're not required percentage. So what we need to work out is, because we've got a field of fodder carrots, we'll use that, and hopefully we can use that to make carrot pulp, which that makes sense. So we can use that. I'm not going to make sure I put every single type of everything in, just because that's a lot. But I will, to begin with, we'll focus on the ones that are actually required, that have got minimum percentages. That's the first 5. I've picked 18 months because that's what we're going to start off with in terms of cattle. Let's jump into this one, the Xylon. And this is how this works. That tank goes on the front like that. Then back up, bit more. That goes on the back like that. So that fills in. That front tank takes fertilizer, herbicide, and carbo lime. But it's quite small. It's only a 1650 litre tank. So let's just park this out here over the way. Out of the way, sorry. So that's going to be there. What we need to do is we need to hook up our Ford. At the moment, we have got we've got traffic switched on. Now we are running courseplay and auto drive. I'm not ruling out workers. We probably will use workers. There we go. I forgot that this plough doesn't fold. So we may end up getting rid of this at some stage. But anyway, yeah, so I'm going to be using workers to get the jobs done. And that does mean that they'll be driving around the map. It does mean it's quite likely that traffic will get in the way. In which case we may end up turning traffic off. To be honest with you, with this plough and we're going to be driving around the map, the traffic's probably going to be getting in our way, so we may well turn it off. But anyway, what I'm going to do on the rest of this episode now, because this is pretty much just a setup episode. We're the second week in April. All I'm going to do now is I'm just going to show you what my plan is with that big field, which I think is up here if I just follow this road round. So yeah, we'll make a decision later on once we start using auto driving courseplay and stuff. But the majority of this series is pretty much just going to be about getting our handle on some dairy cattle. So how much we rely on workers is yet to be seen. There we are, so that worked out pretty nice. So this is our big field here. So all I'm going to do now is I'm going to line up sort of roughly, it's close to halfway, and I think that probably seems like a good spot here in line with this road here. So what we want to do, I think, is if we head down like that. So if we put our wrong one, let's put our our course plate, no, GPS on. And we want to go, I think it was 305. Wrong button. 305. I think that would do absolutely fine. We've got fields turned off. Let's put the plough down. So basically all I'm going to do is just going to plough this line straight down through the middle. And then we can use that line as a guide then to paint a decorative type of texture in to make the border between the two created fields, because then what we can do is we'll have two fields of different types of grass then. And it may only be a temporary feature. We may end up ploughing that back in down the line once we buy another field. But as it stands, this is the only way, because there is that straight line mod, which I absolutely love it, but it will only go on the sort of cardinal angles, like the 90-degree angles. So it's not really ideal when these fields are not they're not perfectly on the angles. Some maps you get, and it tends to be typically the European maps, they're notorious for not being on the cardinal angles, which is fine because that's what it would be like in real life. But then obviously you play some of the American maps and they're like dead square on the angles. So now you see we've got this line up here, so as long as we paint within that, then we're good. So we want to pick our texture. We won't want something like completely out of place, because we've got all these lovely textures here like pavement and stuff like that. We don't really want any of that. We just want something that's going to be different. I think probably that one, and we want to have the circle shape, and we'll do it quite big. I mean, that is not the best, but That's fine. Doesn't have to be exactly perfect. It's just as long as it... Just as long as it gives us enough of a... I think I'll actually probably do is I'll make it a bit wider. Then I can just use the plow to square it off perfectly. So this will just give us... It might seem like a pointless thing to be starting with. But as this is a setup episode anyway, and we're not actually doing any real farming, that'll start in the next episode. We may as well do this now. Because then what we can do is we can turn allow create fields on. Let me do that bit for some reason, but that's fine. That's fine. Yeah, what we can do then is we'll turn allow create fields on, and we can just tidy that up a little bit so it's a bit neater. And then we've got two sort of decent-ish sized grass fields then to begin with. Cattle-wise, right, we're not going to be starting with a crazy load of cattle because it takes a lot of work. So if I not do that. If we move this over a little bit, probably to about there, I reckon. And what we'll do is we'll swing around. We'll line up back here. Because then by the time we get down there and we put our plough down, we'll be nice and straight on. So we could just plough straight down there, and then that'll give us a fairly straight edge. Lovely jubbly. Didn't really want to plough that in at the top there, so we'll crack that in a minute. And then we'll just do the same the other side, and then that'll just give us a nice little sort of... it's not really wide enough to drive down, but it's just going to give us a nice separation between the two types of grass. And we'll go around back up the top to line up our next rundown, and then that'll just give us two good sized grass fields to plant our two different types of grass in. I will tell you, grass seed is expensive on Terralife Plus. Let's just move that one back over. Thinking probably there will be fine. So we'll drop that down. I said that will just give us the nice straight edge that we need of this sort of cobbledy pathway between the two fields. As there's not really I think we'll be able to get our sort of four-wheeler down here, like whatever type of quad or whatever we buy. That will give us 2 field out of 1, basically. Because that's the only empty field we had. The other option was we were going to probably cut this one in half and do the same thing. But as we've got this one that was empty, we may as well have done it with this one. So let's carry on. We'll get this done, then we'll wrap the episode there. And then, like I said, the actual proper farming will start in the next episode. With some, we'll plough the rest of these fields in. And then we'll, once we've done that, we'll be able to seed them up with the required grasses then. So just keep an eye out on... Let's get our... We need to get ourselves a little chainsaw. I'm going to get going on those trees. Chainsaw, there we are. Just get the still one. Just cut them out. I've got the lumberjack mod running, which is why I could do that. It's not really worth my time to try and process that down. It's not really going to give us any real amount of money. So and there we go. So, like I said, it might not have been the best thing to be doing on the first episode. But this is, as I said, it's just a setup episode. It was more to get the series going and sort of have an idea of where we were going to go, and that just seemed like a fitting thing. So what we'll do is, if we have a quick look on the map, as you can see, we've got, they're not entirely equal. I probably could have brought the line over a little bit that way. To get a bit extra. So we've got one slightly bigger, one slightly smaller, but that's absolutely fine. Should give us enough to make some feed. And whether it's enough feed, I don't know. And like I said, down the line, we may well decide, actually, we could just plough that line back in, have one whole grass field here, and then maybe have this one. But at the moment, this has got, the other 3 fields that we bought have got, I've got crops growing in them, so I didn't want to chuck them away because that might be useful to us for some other easy money. And then we'll just plant the 2 types of grass in here, one on that side, one this side, and we'll silage those up. One thing we've got to keep an eye out on the silage is the bales that we can make can now rot away with the Terralife farming. I don't know how quick that happens, so we will have to keep an eye on them, because I'd hate to sort of do all that work and then all of a sudden we've lost all the bales because they've rotted away. But just to quickly recap, so we've got fodder carrots in here. We've got winter wheat in here. I'm pretty sure it's winter wheat. Yeah, winter wheat in here, and then spelt in here. I don't think the spelt is going to be very useful to us. I'm not really particularly sure the winter wheat is going to be very useful to us in our actual farming operation. So they might just be straight sales. The fodder carrots, I'm pretty sure, are going to be useful to us. What I need to sort of work out is how do I make carrot pulp, basically. So I'll try and do that. But in any case, guys, that is the episode. We're up and running. We're back on FS22. Who'd have thought it? 2025, back on FS22. Crazy world we live in. But I hope you do enjoy the series. I'm quite excited about it. I'm glad to be back playing it. Like I said, I've loved this game for a long time, and I was disappointed with the FS25 launch. I was disappointed they didn't keep this game going for another year. I mean, my ideal scenario with FarmSim is that they adopted more of a SCS trucking model where they make the base game Farming Simulator, and then they keep it alive through updates and DLC releases and expansion packs and stuff like that. That would be the ideal. Just get a really solid base foundation game and then build on it from there through and fund your business through DLC purchase like SCS do. But like I said, it's not my business. They're a private company. They can do what they like. But that's going to do us for this one, guys. I hope you've enjoyed it. Hit the like button if you have. Subscribe if you're not already. You want to stick around to see some more farming action. And do leave me any thoughts, feedback, tips, tricks, whatever you like down in the comments below. I look forward to hearing from you all. And we'll catch you in the next episode where we'll get the time on and we'll get started with some farming. Till then, guys, you take care. Thanks.